All right.
All right. Florida State, Joey. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Florida State, because this is news to me. I didn't hear about this. Their CFO, Florida CFO, Jimmy Patronis.
Great name. Sounds like a mafia boss, doesn't it?
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want to mess with Jimmy. He states that the Florida State owns what they have $800 million worth of crypto-related investments.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the breakdown here is, like how much Bitcoin they own, or maybe, dare I say, ETFs or MSTR, but $800 million is what they own. That's a significant amount. And they say that they have to deal with pensions and salaries of firefighters, teachers, and so they have to diversify their investments.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're doing that, this might, like, I see this, and there's more states like Wisconsin didn't their pension plan buy, like, you hear more of these stories out there.
Yep.
Then Trump is also talking about this strategic national Bitcoin stockpile, where the fuck that means, but at least talked about it. So there's a lot of speculation what's going to happen, what's going to moving forward. The price, look behind me, 67,900, or almost 68,000. Should Trump win, and it's not delayed win, like it's an instant win, you could tell, and there's
like a poll lottery ticket. Yeah.
What's going to happen to the price here?
Nothing.
You think it's going to stay stable? You think it's going to stay like
wherever
it is?
I think the market, Bitcoin, all this stuff is pricing in a Trump victory. And if he loses, the destruction is going to be widespread and significant in markets. I don't know how long it'll take to recover, but yeah, I think everyone's pricing in a Trump victory. So I think Bitcoin, you might get a rally to like 72, 73, something like that. But the 180, whatever K, I doubt it.
No. We're not far away from an all-time high. We were very close. Maybe we touched it last week, but an all-time high is definitely within it's within the realm of possibility. It could happen.
Yeah.
And should it eclipse that, where does it go from there? Like, you're like more of a chart guy. Where's the resistance? Where does these?
It's 80. 80 is the first real line where you wind up. I like Josh Olshowitz's pitchfork. That's a good one. 80's a good place to pop some champagne, I think. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Boomers in the chat saying the same thing. If Harris wins, you get some cheap sats, and we just have to wait a little longer. But it's interesting that there's states now, state treasuries, state pensions, whatever, doing this stuff and being public about it. MSTR, by the way, is in, I think, 9 different ETFs now as well. So, you're seeing that come up faster and faster. I would guess that they're using that as a proxy for Bitcoin, at least in some of these pensions. I know in some of the ETFs, that's the case.
We should put them in the CBP ETF. We didn't.
Yeah. What else is in there? Wilson footballs, NHL 94 cartridges.
There's
NIB. NIB
there's
only.
A billion out there still.
Yeah. NIB only, though. Not many. And then, some MSTR. I mean, look, other thing too to consider about all this stuff is there's at least some possibility that because of the fair accounting rules coming up in Q1, that some of these states, pensions, ETFs, whatever, want to add MSTR because it's going to really increase their, I think, EPS or value per share, some measurement. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's going to make it difficult for the S&P to keep them out of that top 500. And then once you have passive flows and all that stuff. So, I'm not 100% convinced that when I see stuff like this, it's a Bitcoin bet necessarily. It could just be we see what's happening with MSTR. It's hard to ignore the MSTR story at this point. You have to be sort of willfully ignorant, but it's a good story all the same. Did Dennis Porter take any credit for this?
I didn't see any breaking, so no.
No, too bad. No. He's probably contributing at some level to this kind of story. Just FYI.
Oh, he didn't contribute to the next one, which is Cartwright, and that's the multi-billion-dollar UK pension fund. And they announced they're going to be allocating 3% of their stash towards Bitcoin.
Awesome.
And the investment time horizon is 10 years. So it's not like they're going to go tomorrow.
That's great.
So it's a slow thing. So they got a shitload of money that they could allocate towards this over a long time. The one good thing about this is that, from what I gather, it looks like they're going to be doing self custody of their Bitcoins. So they're not going to be relying on just simply buying an ETF or something else. They're going to
Yep.
self-custody. I hope they hold their own keys in the end. They don't just pawn it off to somebody else. But if they do, I have to give them credit. It finally is just these pasty guys and gals from Britain with probably bad teeth. They showed us the fucking way. It took this long, and it took this group of people to fucking show us the way. If
Yeah.
this works, let's make this a copy pasta for others to do the same thing.
I love it. This is the thing I tagged you in a little while ago.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like this story. So they're going to use 5 different like key holders, I think is the term they use. But they're doing self-custody more or less.
Sovereign
Right?
custodial.
This is their model. Yeah, this is their model. So yeah, you've been saying this for like a year, maybe more, that one of these companies has to figure out how to do this themselves. And now these guys, instead of pension, has figured out how to do it, which is interesting. You would think that there would be more guardrails for them than for an MSTR for sure, but probably also just a, broadly speaking, a publicly traded company. So this is fun. I like this a lot. I want to hear more about this. And Len, I have half a mind to reach out to our brethren across the pond and talk to them about the decision.
Do you have any contacts over there that we could bring on?
No, but fuck it. We'll show them the
cold call people.
Yeah. Check out my feed.
Did you know that you probably know this past week that the Bitcoin white paper, 16 years old. It was published, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash, October 31st, 2008. Satoshi Nakamoto was the dude or dudette or whatever that did it. So outlined the technical details for this, what we know what it's all about. And it was done through the public mailing list. And really, it was an unproven concept at the time. It's not like it was polished. It didn't talk a heck of a lot. Didn't even talk about a cap, if I recall correctly. So there was a lot that had to have been discovered or figured out over a period of time. But at least this was at the very start of it. It's 9 pages only. So people haven't read it, go through it. There's some technical stuff to it, but still, I have another story that's going to be tied to this. We'll talk about it in a bit. But yeah, just nothing really to add aside from just another anniversary of this.
It's great. If the Bitcoin white paper was living in a democratically controlled United States, it would already be able to vote.
It would not. It would be something else besides. I can't go there. So let's talk about Bitcoin all caps. Good friend of the show. He's not in the chat.
Yeah.
And it's tied to the last story because
not commenting in the chat tonight because
his YouTube channel was nuked after the final video was published. What was it? It was a read-through of the Bitcoin white paper. So as a tie into the last story. So it's the end of an era, and unfortunately, it looks like that the Bitcoin username or whatever has already been taken by somebody else.
Insane.
So when hearing this, that their channel was nuked, and CBP may not be long for this YouTube world. So if you want to keep listening or watching us, we may have to migrate somewhere else. Right now we're on Rumble. I don't think we're going to get kicked off of that, but
no, Rumble's a free for all. It's like the Safari Zone in Pokemon. I feel bad for all caps because he's really being very level about all this, but he's an invaluable resource for a lot of people. Everything on that channel, which is branded with the Bitcoin, name and all these different things like, top search result, SEO type stuff. That channel has nothing but signal. He helped us get our show off the ground years ago. And I think he's posted some clips from our show over the years on that channel and on Reddit. And everything on the channel is like really Bitcoin focused. And it's stuff for new people. It's stuff for people who've been around. It's stuff for people who are looking to learn about something that's coming to the network or being proposed on the network. It's stuff for people who want to learn about some of the personalities around Bitcoin, all these things. And it's just a good channel with a lot of good stuff. And there's no reason for YouTube to nuke that kind of thing unless they, are given instructions to do so or do it for some stupid reason, some copyright claim, whatever. There's some theories floating around out there about what exactly the issue was, with bots and shit like that. But yeah, it's too bad. I hope he gets the channel back because that's a big resource for the Bitcoin space. I think he may not agree with that, but he's being humble. That's a big loss for us if we can't get that back.
Yeah, he would also post the Bitcoin and beers chat that would happen on the Discord, the Bitcoin Discord, which is, I love that chat. And often I can't attend it because it happens during working hours. So I've listened to it after on YouTube, and it's I found it to be great. now he's also on, I think he said Odyssey,
Mm.
and maybe Rumble as well. So at least everything is not gone; it's there. But on kind of a side note, BTC Sessions was noting today on Twitter or X
Same
that
thing. Yeah. Close
a
to it.
shadow ban with his channel. Like he's
Yeah.
noticing a drop off in terms of viewership for his channel. He's got over 150,000 plus subscribers, so he would be able to notice right away if something is going strange. So he's seeing that like something is going strange with YouTube / Google / Alphabet. I don't know what the fuck's up.
We've never had a ton of traction on YouTube. I think our channel has like 2,500 subs, maybe less. I have no idea. Like most of our fun has been had on the podcast side. So we haven't been, targeted, but at some point you never know, right? It's hard to stay above water if every algorithm is constantly trying to turf your content or send you the back of the line and search results and all this stuff. My bigger worry is that Spotify starts doing something like that. Because I still think a lot of people listen to podcasts in audio form, this one and others. I know I'm like that. And I know a lot of people listen to the show are like that too. But if they go that direction, YouTube is already going that direction. It's going to be hard to get the message out about Bitcoin. And this is why when we talk about stuff like, governments being afraid of Bitcoin usurping their power in terms of the currency, let's just knock over a cup, in terms of the currency, you have to at least consider that actions like this are being taken in advance of a more sweeping attempt to silence people who are trying to say, yeah, get out of dollars, get out of CAD, get into Bitcoin, right? It doesn't feel like that. And it's not like, oh no, they never coordinate. Well, they did. Twitter files tells you everything you need to know about that. There's a million emails out there between YouTube people, and their Slack channels are public and all this other stuff over the years, right? Because like always, they can't keep a secret even if they try. And so I think you gotta be aware of this stuff. You gotta be careful. If your messaging is counter signaling the regime, then you could be a target, definitely.
And Platador was noting on X that a few years ago, even like last year or 2 years ago, if you typed in Bitcoin into YouTube, a lot of the shit that came up was stuff like, oh, Safe Moon is going to
Of course,
moon.
yeah.
But now when you do it, you get a lot of mainstream media stuff that's tying Trump to Bitcoin. And it's a totally different. So rather than getting the scammers and the people that are just trying to make, find exit liquidity, it's something else. And this could just be sheer coincidence.
I don't think it's coincidence. I think it's that those companies are the most algo friendly. And so suddenly now they have Bitcoin content. So they come to the forefront of the search results. That's my guess. I don't think it's anything nefarious on that front.
Hear that? This past week, somebody came out and made a claim that they're Satoshi Nakamoto.
I love this guy. Way, way better than the Peter Todd claim. This guy looking like he just crawled out of a cave somewhere. Like my God. And then he did like a demonstration in a classroom or something. It looks like he's like, I'm going to sign the key or sign the transactions or whatever.
Well,
okay, come on, bro.
Let's go through this. It's an older dude. His name is Stephen Mola, and I think I pronounced his name correctly. He looks like a Southeast Asian dude. Like that's what it looks like to me. He claims to be an economic and monetary scientist, and this came totally out of left field. This type of event just came out. Apparently, the admission to get to this was $540. The guy that was hosting this event, he had to pay $540 just to go there, and Mola was having technical issues with his laptop, and this is Satoshi, my friend. It's obviously, and he said he will be promising proof in the next few months that he is indeed Satoshi. Somebody asked him if he's going to move the coins in the Genesis block, and he said, yeah, he'll do that, which right away is concerning because those cannot be moved. So I'm not sure if he indeed just misunderstood the question or probably not Satoshi, but I love this. So yeah, and the timing of this though, a couple of weeks after or 3 weeks after the HBO documentary, is this timing like what the fuck is this all about? I found it to be kind of ironic, but whatever.
It's like a non-story, but I do enjoy these personalities coming out of the woodwork and claiming that they're Satoshi and then not understanding the questions. It's funny too. the press loves propping these guys up for a couple of days. So I think at this point, the press probably even is like, yeah, this is a dumb story, but the number of people who are going to click this is so incredibly high. We have to run it. Everyone clicks this stuff and then just like dunks on the guy online. And so the advertisers win, the media outlets win, we win, and only Mr. Mala loses on this
Oh,
one.
he gets his 15 minutes.
And it's $540. Also, why doesn't this guy have
individual.
a suit? This guy he didn't even wear a suit to the display.
Why would he? This guy's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Like, what the fuck?
God, I don't know.
See, he'll move those Genesis coins one day. So once he does, that's 50 coins, and he's gonna get times 67,000. That's not too fucking bad.
I love it.
Find a way to move it.
I love it.
Kevin O'Leary's shitcoin exchange called M2. We discussed this a very long time ago. It was launched in late 2023.
Nice.
Hackers broke in and were able to steal $13.7 million worth of digital assets. The majority
13.7 million for 100% of his company. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, they made them whole. Well, I'm going to go through this because the majority of stuff stolen was stuff we heard about. Bitcoin, obviously, ETH, and Solana tokens. So that was the majority, but there must have been a bunch of shit coins on top of ETH and Solana was stolen. But either way, 13.7 million was stolen. They say that customers' accounts were restored and made whole. They somehow gave the money back and were able to buy the assets and made their accounts whole. Clearly, they have deep pockets. Good thing for them, this was a very small exchange. Because if it was a larger exchange, this thing would have went tits up, number one. Number two, this is a good reason why you should use an exchange like Bull Bitcoin that's non-custodial. Because this company, M2, this exchange, people trusted them with buying their Bitcoin and shitcoins. And what happens when you do that, sooner or later, it will get hacked. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next year. But over time, this shit will get hacked. And when it does, your stuff is gone. Luckily that they made their customers whole, but others, and there's a lot of history we could draw upon to show that you should not leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Buy it, take it off, use something like Bull Bitcoin or it's not custodial. That's the way to do it.
Thank God that they only stole, a little bit of Bitcoin and a handful of worthless tokens like Solana and Ethereum. What a time to be alive. People are still using exchanges as though exchanges are not, going down this road where they're not going to be profitable and they're going to lose your Bitcoin. ShakePay today, big announcement. They're like turfing their shaking sats program basically to oblivion.
No, they're also, you got to be over 1,000 days.
1,000 days for 1,000 sats.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So I don't think many
close.
people are at that threshold.
No, I don't think so either. And the spread on ShakePay is pretty high, I think, right? So yeah, like if you're buying there with any regularity,
withdrawals are free.
Withdrawals are free above a certain threshold. The Visa's good. Like I use that cashback Visa sometimes, I will admit. You just transfer some money in there and get some Bitcoin back on a big buy. I used it today, actually. My dog had to get some tick chews. So yeah, like there's exchanges in general trending the wrong direction. Okay. These guys are taking your information. They're adding shotgun KYC. They're a choke point for governments. They're a choke point for hackers. And there's no guarantee that you'll get back what gets taken. And it will get taken. It's either going to get taken by a law, or it's going to get taken by a rogue agent, or it's going to get taken by a careless exchange employee or whatever. That's if your data doesn't get leaked along the way. ShakePay had that data leak a little while ago too. And M2, God only knows, if they gave up if they gave up these assets that easily, there's probably stuff we don't know about happening as well. Is that safe to say? I don't want to get sued by Mr. O'Leary, but it's always possible.
It could be other exchanges that are small.
Could be. Totally.
If you're not publicly traded and they're not forced to disclose any information.
Totally.
Anything.
Holy shit, there's someone commenting on Rumble in the chat. I don't think I've ever seen a Rumble comment.
Very few, yeah. And just to like give everybody what the comment is, because they probably can't read it. It's a gentleman by the name of Rod. I won't go any further. He says he's an 809-day shaking on his ShakePay. So he's getting close to that magical 100 days to get those 1,000 days to get to the 1,000 sats.
Yeah.
So he's getting there.
Brutal.
So
Absolutely
good for you.
brutal. Yeah.
MSTR, they're
Oh, talk
made
to
some
me.
news.
Say it to me slow. Let me light a candle here.
All right. So they plan to go balls deep into Bitcoin
Ben's
over
in the
the next.
chat too. He's gonna shit a brick.
Well, it's not like I'm coming up with anything new. He could probably tell us, and you probably telling me what's going on. They plan to announce they're going to be raising $42 billion in capital.
Yeah.
Half of which is going to be coming from market equity offering,
Yeah.
and the other half is going to come from fixed income securities.
Yeah.
And the money that they're going to be raising will be mainly used to buy Bitcoin. And currently, they have about 250,000, a little bit over 250,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So if we are to use 70,000 as the threshold of 70,000 per Bitcoin, 42 billion would get them around 600,000 Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin obviously is not going to stay at 70,000. It's not financial advice, of course, but
Yeah.
I'm just giving you just an idea. If all that money were just to be redirected toward Bitcoin at a set price, it's a lot of Bitcoin they're going to be buying up. And where are they going to get it from? Who are they going to buy it from? I don't know. But the exchange, like the amount of liquidity on exchanges, it's going to go down really fast when you hear stuff like this. And also the UK fund that's going to be buying up Bitcoin over the next 10 years. Companies also, like, I'm not going to say
they're putting in a bid, man. They're putting in a bid. You know, it's a fixed bid now. Yeah.
This stuff potentially could go parabolic once there's no more fucking Bitcoin to be bought. Is where do they go? They come to who?
You and me.
I'm not gonna fucking give up mine. Fuck you. So they gotta go to the next person. They gotta find somebody that's willing to sell it at the right price, whatever that right price is.
Yeah.
Surely they'll find it if they, if there's a. This is what will happen when you have a fixed supply, and when somebody is willing to go fucking balls deep, it's gonna go parabolic.
This is a beast story. I love this. I wish I'd prepared some notes on this, but I think I can speak from memory. So you mentioned there the 21 billion in equity dilution basically for shareholders. So the shareholders are being diluted to the tune of 21 billion. That's a lot. And then 21 billion in converts, the fixed income securities. This is big. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. Okay. I want to compare and contrast this to Coinbase. Coinbase doing a $1 billion buyback. I think it was number 1 billion or billion and change. Share buyback. Yeah, like if you're going to be a Bitcoin company, not that they are, you have to at least understand the mission, right? You have to understand the asset, and you have to understand that one of these things is not like the other. And so the compare and contrast between Coinbase and MSTR is pretty stark after last week's earnings calls. You got MSTR saying, yeah, we are a Bitcoin treasury company now, BTC. Love that. You know, as much as I think Saylor is a bit of a joker on these podcasts, he's damn good at delivering these shareholder presentations, and the strategy behind the Bitcoin treasury is so far been outstanding. He talks though about how if you look at the Bitcoin treasury company strategy, you can't just say, well, it's a sort of a gimmick. It doesn't work. We don't know if this is going to last, whatever. It's already run up too high. We can't buy this. Saylor makes a couple of good points, and I'll touch on a few here, and then I'm going to add a few of my own. One is that it's not just MSTR outperforming Bitcoin. That's the big deal, right? Bitcoin's up about 85%, I think. MSTR up about 200% in the same time period. I don't know exactly what that time period is, maybe a year to date. But they're crushing Bitcoin. But that's not the only thing they're crushing, right? They're crushing NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta. You pick your big S&P stock, they're crushing it. Pick your big NASDAQ stock, they're crushing it. They're crushing all the ETFs. They're crushing the Mag 7, crushing gold, crushing everything. Now, not only are they crushing Bitcoin and the rest of the market, they're also crushing some private equity. If you go back 7 or 8 years in this presentation, he's talking about companies that didn't even go to market yet compared to where they are now. And he's beating those guys too since 2020. That's pretty impressive. People say that the convertible debt is an issue. Well, maybe, except that the convertible debt is beating the Mag 7 too. Like you could buy
rolling that over when it comes up.
It's unbelievable that this guy has been able to pull this off. And people are saying, well, I can't buy this. And I'm going to take a line from one of the guys in the North Star, the MSTR North Star Twitter space or whatever from a couple weeks ago. Like there are people now who are at this point, like just jealous they don't have any MSTR. Just plain and simple. Okay. And I'm not saying you're one of these people or any of the guys that we talk to or any of these people, but there are
I
people
don't have any.
No,
I fall in that category.
but I don't think you're like such a vocal like hater of MSTR that you fall in this category.
No, I just really quick. I don't give a shit about them. They could buy
Yeah.
Bitcoin, and in fact, I hope they buy more Bitcoin. I just wish they self custody it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
reality, and
Yeah,
that's as far as I
that's
go.
great.
I wish
That's
them
great.
the greatest of success.
Great stance to have. And you know, I've heard people say that, well, we can't buy this stock now because it's just run up too much, and the NAV is like the NAV compared to the price is just way too out of control, and we got to wait until this thing cools off or whatever. And I just want to ask those people, do you only buy things that are like not succeeding, not successful? Do you only buy things that are like flat? Are you only buying on technicals? Like, what are you looking at? You don't want to buy
They're
this thing.
ethical investors.
Yeah, exactly. Ethical is another word for poor. Do you want to invest in stuff that's not winning? If you do, like, okay, but I would guess your AUM not doing too well. That's number one. Number two, you know, I've heard there's been a lot of talk about MSTR, and I'm going to make some pointed comments here that only represent my thoughts, not Len's, but I'm going to make them anyway. I've heard a lot of spaces in the last little while with guys like Schiff. You know, he's tweeting about MSTR. I've heard like even Adam O'Brien. I've heard a couple other guys who are public company CEOs or public company officers, some big Twitter names in FinTwit and in Bitcoin Twitter, to be honest with you, all saying the same thing. What happens if MSTR, or what happens if Bitcoin has an 80% drawdown, right? What happens if there's like some new legislation? Then the MSTR people are going to get wrecked. You shouldn't be buying MSTR, blah, blah, blah. Man, if Bitcoin gets wrecked by 80%, then all the Bitcoin public companies are going to get tanked. Okay. Bitcoin Well, Riot, whatever, you name it. They're going to get absolutely fucking shit rocked. Okay. So to say that there's a threat and that you shouldn't be buying MSTR because Bitcoin might draw down 80%. Well, you know, you guys are offering stock too, miners, whatever. Like if you're offering that stock and naysaying the strategy of MSTR on the basis that Bitcoin might go down 80%, you don't have it. You haven't figured it out. Okay. You can't be saying that in a public space. It makes you look dumb. Then if you think about the other things that are floating around there about MSTR, it's an unlimited money glitch. It can't work for that much longer. Well, I don't know. It depends on where you think we are in the Bitcoin cycle. Do you think that, you know, we just had a crazy, basically 4 years of headwinds in terms of rates and price movement? You know, the price hasn't moved from its all-time high of about 70,000 since 2021. And now you're about to hit an environment where inflation looks like it's going to heat up again. Rates are coming down even in the face of that. Gold is rising, which has historically been an indicator that the price is going to rip. Companies, pensions, governments, and now ETFs also buying infinite bid. Oh, and Saylor just told you he's going to do 42 billion over the next 4 years, regardless of how he has to do it. Like, do you think this is the time to be bearish on Bitcoin or bullish on Bitcoin? Do you think this is the time to be bearish on MicroStrategy or bullish on MicroStrategy? Because at this point, MicroStrategy is going to become the largest holder of the world reserve asset. And once you get to that status, the possibilities are endless in terms of what you can do with your treasury. That's the strategy that you have to be looking at if you're an MSTR bull. The bears, I think at this point, either just don't get it or don't want to. And that's fine. But the rest of us are just dancing and laughing. And so if you ever want to dance and laugh, then come on over. And by the way, I mentioned earlier the FASB thing, the earnings per share is going to go way up when they have to do fair value accounting on Bitcoin. That's going to push them into the S&P 500. The environment is clearly going one way, clearly. And people are like, it's not going to, come on. And someone asking in the chat, am I bullish on Coinbase? I mean,
No,
stock price.
not quite. He's
What else is in there?
Cardano, since the BTC Fringe.
Cardano, yeah. No, I'm not. And like the MSTR thing, like what are we talking about at this point? Like who still thinks that this is not working? Who still thinks that any of this stuff? If you at this point, I dare say, Len, that if you think the MSTR price is going to go down, then you have to be even more bearish on Bitcoin, right? Like these two things are forever linked at this point. And I think it's a mistake to discount what it means to have a company that holds, by the time they finish buying 42 billion, will they have 1 million Bitcoin? Close. More, probably, depending on the price. I mean, it's going to take 4 years. Assuming the price moves up.
Boomer was saying that's
so
that would be doubling their stack.
Yeah.
Right now with 42 billion.
That's pretty significant, man. And if everything else directionally goes the way you think, Bitcoiner, then what is the problem with owning some of this company if you want to play into TFSA? Like you can say, oh, you shouldn't use your TFSA. Okay, fine. We're having a different conversation then. But
yeah,
like that's not the conversation we're having now. The conversation is, should you be bearish on MSTR stock over the risk of Bitcoin crashing? Well, I don't buy it. And I don't see how anybody could buy it at this point.
I'm wondering, take a step back. What is MSTR aside from holding Bitcoin? They provide software, right?
Yeah, enterprise software or something. Yeah.
Was it MicroStrategy 1?
They make enough cash flows to cover the interest on the
They're a profitable company right now.
Yeah.
Before they got into Bitcoin, they were, they were publicly traded. So things were okay. And then they decided to get into Bitcoin. It was the right decision for them. I'm wondering though, so the valuation of MSTR right now, it's not primarily their software stuff. It's ultimately
it's the treasury. Yeah.
The next company that's MicroStrategy light, or even better than them, just they're profitable. They have the ability to get a lot of capital, or sitting a lot of capital. Once they buy into Bitcoin, the people that have purchased shares into MicroStrategy, would they sell and go to the other one? And then there's one of two things that could happen. It would either maybe draw down the price of MicroStrategy, or it would just fucking accelerate, because then the price of Bitcoin will go higher because the other company that's reputable bought in. I can see one of two things happening. One of those two strategies.
Take it one step further. If someone tries to keep up with MicroStrategy now, right, in terms of the Bitcoin buy, which is what's driving the price of the stock,
they'll run out of Bitcoin,
and they'll never be able to catch MicroStrategy. Now everyone's
the only ones that could do that are the ones that are sitting on like, I'm looking at the Apples of the world. I'm looking at
Apple's got 80 billion in cash. So if they deployed all their cash, all of it, they could get past MicroStrategy, sure. But how many Apple shareholders are going to be like, I'm out?
Agreed.
Exactly. And so it's not a feasible strategy. They have to go in slowly. And MicroStrategy either knew that or tripped backwards into it. But now they're way out ahead, and catching them is impossible. They're the faster horse, even if there's another horse coming out of the barn now. So I think it's a great strategy. Like the more I think about it, the more I hear people talking about it, the more I kind of put some of this stuff together. I just don't like at this point.
Steady lads, he's going to deploy more capital.
Yeah, just a lot of salt out there, about MicroStrategy. It reminds me of the NVIDIA salt. I'm not saying you have. it. You're never like that. You're never like that.
I don't give I personally, I don't want to buy into it, and I would always recommend people look. If you're a Bitcoiner, do you really want to go down this avenue of using this fiat tool to buy stuff? If you really want to, all the more power to you. But this is your choice. I know what I'm buying. I buy my Bitcoin. Nobody can take this shit from me. It's mine, and I sleep well at night. Sure, it may not go up as much in value as MSTR has in the past little while. I don't give a fuck. It's mine.
Yeah.
I don't have to beg somebody to get it at the end of the day. I can just simply exchange it for something else later on. And that's my point of view. You know what? It's 1:32 into this, 1:33 into this.
I saw.
Elon started his show. Let's fucking end this thing. The reason why we're ending early, I'm not sure if we mentioned it.
I did. I mentioned it. Yeah, Elon's running a thing at 8:30 tonight.
Yeah, because I'm sure everyone was going on and listen to the fucking guy talk. So
although we haven't seen a drop in viewers here, which is nice. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for coming out, and thank you as always for your continued support of the program. I'm leaving this in good hands with Len for about a month, and I will see you guys when I see you. But until the next time, take care of yourselves.
Take care. Good luck, Joey.